Hello and welcome to the October 2024 edition of Easy Talks. We are back. I am the E in Easy Talks, Erika, and this is my SS.
Zendalannette, the Z. I even put a Z there today. Hey.
Hey, you make me want to change mine. You done inspired me. Maybe next time though. So my SS and I had an absolutely amazing opportunity, not last Saturday, but the Saturday before that, to go. Wait, was it last Saturday, sis?
It was Saturday. Yep. It was Saturday.
Yeah, like today is Thursday. Yep. Not even a week ago.
No, it was on the because I'm a weirdo and I have my ticket stub in my journal.
That's right. So I wish I could.
You can't really, girl. It's right. Oh, there it is. Right there.
I see it. Yes. Yeah. So we had the amazing opportunity to go and view the new film Exhibiting Forgiveness. And shout out to my cousin Elisa Laney for the invite. But this movie, was so deep on so many levels. And so we were talking about Easy Talks, and it's almost like I feel like we would be remiss if we did not discuss this film. Because this film, it's unlike so many of the traditional films that hit the screen. This movie, it felt, well, we're gonna talk about what it felt like, because I can just go right now. But we really just want to highlight this film and share our own personal experience with this film and how it touched on just different pieces of real life. And especially around the whole piece around forgiveness, which is such a gift. So yeah, that's what we're here to talk about this month on Easy Talks. We have some questions just to be very mindful and intentional of this space. So sis, I'm going to kick the first question off to you. And it says, what were your first impressions after watching Exhibiting Forgiveness? Did anything in particular stand out to you?
Well, I'm gonna just kind of toss it back to you because you said you were ready to go, and I want to hear what you have to say. So why don't you go?
Okay, so I shout out to ChatGPT because they are the creator of these questions. So one of the beautiful things about us is it is it's real life, real time, uncut, unfiltered, and we didn't want to generate scripted answers. So just in my generator nature responding, this movie, look, I my first impression was dot and some more dots. That was my first impression because it brought up so much to the surface. And because this was a film that was very much rooted in family, and my family was there. Like I said, my cousin was there, my dad was there, and being able to talk to my dad right after the film, wow, 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 effing goodness, deep feeling, movement within my being that was connected to feeling, breath, clearly, because I just had to take a deep breath. That was my first impression. I know there was a second part. Did anything in particular stand out to you? The art. The art. Shout out to Titus, bruh. My SS has pictures from the film, y'all. The art. The images that goodness. So that's my take. SS, what about you? Your first impression, did anything in particular stand out?
Well, the first 2 minutes of the film, I was in tears. I had like an emotional response. The things, one of the most beautiful parts of it that stood out to me was the love between the lead characters, the husband and the wife, their support of each other and their individuality, as well as their unit. What stood out to me was the profound depths of trauma that he endured and the intention that he put into making sure he didn't repeat those same situations in his own relationship with his son.
Mm.
Also, the depths of love that his mother had for his father, in spite of the trauma that they all endured, that the father brought into the space, the space. And then I would be remiss not to say all of the mentions of Kalamazoo, like Westnedge Hospital, and the mention of Douglas Street and James, and even on the way to church on Sunday, I even noticed how the houses, the addresses on the homes on the north side, how it was depicted in the movie. Because in the movie, they never really said, we're in Detroit, we're in Kalamazoo, we're in Chicago. One could artistically, like where their home was, like I had no idea where that home really was. But when I looked, as I drove to church, and I looked at the houses along, at Douglas, and the resemblance that it had from the homes in the movie. And even, like I said, even down to the detail of how the numbers on the homes are organized or arranged. And it was artistically, it was breathtaking. And like I said, that love between husband and wife, and the intention in not repeating generational, ancestral. And then I'm sure we'll get into the depths of it. Like one of the conversations when the dad said to his son, like, my dad did this to me and did this to me and this, blah, blah, blah. But he was a good man. Just acknowledging and seeing that trauma, how it's just in there. And it was so good. It was
so good.
I told my neighbor, I was like, Sister Jackson, Brother Jackson, you gotta have to go check this movie. It's and I told Mario about it too, so he wants to see it as well. And it's one that I will definitely go see again, because there's so many layers to it. And it's definitely like a book club movie. Like, go see it, talk about it over some dinner and some either tea, wine, whatever, to just really dig deep, because there's so many layers.
Yeah.
But it was And then shout out to your cousin too, because it was so awesome to be sitting next to a person. Because literally, I sat a seat over from her, and she was on a big screen. So I was like, "Oh, how awesome was that? Like, yay!"
Yes.
It was just it was that movie. It was profound. It is definitely a piece that everyone should see. Most definitely, yeah.
Absolutely. Yes. So second question is, this is a good one, especially because we're both emotional authorities. How did the film make you feel emotionally? Were there any moments that especially moved you or left a lasting impact? Do you want me to do this one first, sis, or do you want to do it? Okay. So for me, I talked about it a little bit with my first answer about how it created feeling within me, but then I could also feel the movement of the feelings, stirring, racing, stirring within me. And I think emotionally, it took me on a ride. And to be honest, I know that at one point, I kind of dissociated a little bit to be able to be with the movie and not be with my stuff, if that makes sense. Because it brought up so much, and because it triggered me in so many ways. I kind of had to pull back. So, like I said, I could be with the unfolding of the movie and be in the experience of the characters within the movie. And I mean, I felt sadness, I felt joy, I felt I felt anger, I felt gratitude, I felt um empathy. Like I could feel, there was a scene where the son and dad were out at a work site, and there was an incident that took place with the son and an injury, and seeing how his dad showed up when the son was in so much pain, and the dad was just so dismissive. And I think what really stirred me is that it brought me to my real life with my kids, and how sometimes, just to be all the way honest and transparent, it's hard to allow myself to feel the pain of my kids, because I know that there's nothing I can do to take that pain away. And I know that that experience isn't exactly like the physical pain that that boy felt when the scene. 'Cause I don't want to give it all away, but that's what it kind of took me to, and how, like, you witness family dynamics, and from the outside looking in, you can cast judgment, and you can create stories and narratives around what you're seeing. But there's something totally different when you're the character and it's your experience, and how it almost showed, like, even when it doesn't look like it, I believe that we're all doing the best that we can with where we're at in life. And it may look from the outside like, I can't, what? But there's a real life person in there. And when people are dealing with the unfolding of life, and when people have not had an opportunity to pause and be with the trauma that they have experienced, instead of just moving through life like next thing after the other, but to be with it. And I think that that's what the main character got. And his wife was an advocate. Like, you got to deal with this because we ain't taking this back home. And so that, I mean, it's just, oh, on so many levels. Sis, I'll let you go.
Will you restate the questions again? Because I was lost in your responses as well.
Absolutely.
I was
How
being present.
Right. No, that's okay. How did the film make you feel emotionally? Were there any moments that especially moved you or left a lasting impact?
It was a ton of them. However, because of the focus that I have right now on being intentional as wife, um, on top of me first, right? Um, the impact in how they communicated, in spite of, I mean, because he dealt with, I mean, like the nightmares that he endured, the scene, I don't want to tell the whole movie, but the scene when he woke up out of the nightmare, and what happened, and when he hit the wall, and then the son was in there and he experienced it. And so for her as a wife to love him in spite of, to
Mm.
love him through, um ooh, little emotional. She had so much grace for him. The love, you talk about agape love,
Mm-hmm.
girl. The way she, even when he said, "Hey, I'm gonna do another art show," and she was like, "Look, you've done it." So even as I think about that, it shows like we have enough. We have enough. Let's be grateful in this moment as a family, what we're building. The way, like, she would, when he was on duty, so to speak, so she could go work on her music, and then when she was on duty, so he could go work on his art. And even when the father decided, because I'm doing well now, I'm gonna just show up, and let's just keep in stride. And she was like, "Hey, we don't get to just keep going because you decide you want to be right.
we don't, it's not just moving forward as though nothing happened. So I need you to pause. I need you to hold up. I need you to respect. So it's the showing, the establishing of boundaries, right? And even when his agent came to the house and he's like, look, and when the sun came out, mom said it's time to come in. Just the boundaries that were there are lasting impressions, that agape love between husband and wife, holding each other accountable. And then the beauty of them having very can you hear me?
It's through the
Through the microphone. Let me fix that. Sorry, one sec. Oh, it's through this. Let me see.
Better. Okay, thank you for that. My apologies. So just the way that they showed up for each other, the way that they show up with each other in love and truth and in honesty. And even the sacrifices, because the hotel they stayed in, when I first started watching, I'm like, ooh, where are they staying? Now I know they don't have to be, staying there. And she said, look, I'm not doing this again. I love you. I love your mom. But I know it's close. But so just the way they communicated, the way they showed up for each other, the way they established boundaries for their respective spaces and collective space, their unit. And what it makes me think of is codependency, because codependency is one of my shadow parts. And so if I'm like easy and stuff, I'm not able to control, and stuff is new and I'm feeling, I put an unnecessary pressure on my husband to fulfill some type of needs and things that I want that he doesn't even know I need, but it's that codependency. And for them to hold each other accountable to not do that, like, hey. So it was a lot of, it was art. It was beautiful conversation. It was trauma. It was healing. And it was some reflections for me to say, oh, and a lot of learnings.
Mm-hmm.
So those are some of my big takeaways. It was I'm sure I'm missing something, but it was such an awesome experience just to witness this level of art.
And it's definitely one of those movies where, like, and I've heard this before, where it's like, you watch a movie, you take in the movie, but when you watch the movie again, it's like almost watching it for the first time. And I feel like with this movie, like, it was so rich. It was so multi-layered, but it showcased life, real life. And because that is life is multi-layered. I mean, we're talking about husband and wife, we're talking about father and son, we're talking about not like father and son, but then we're talking about the father to the little son, and then his father's father, and then that father's father, like the generations and what people go through, what people endure. And for me, like it mirrors that whole talk about it. Why are we not talking about these things? Like, this is the unfolding of real life. When we talk about addiction, when we talk about trauma, when we talk about codependency, when we talk about poverty, not even just poverty from a monetary sense, excuse me, but a poverty mindset, and what that looks like, and just and mental health, and just all of these pieces, and creativity and healing, because that's one of the other things. This man's art was his healing. It was his sanctuary. It was his safe space. It was the canvas of his life. Like that he every like there was a scene where it was like a fight and an argument, and he went back to the hotel room, and he went to his safe space. He's moving stuff around and throwing stuff and pulling stuff, and he takes the canvas and he hammers it onto the wall, and it's like he just has to get it out. He has to release it, and for him, he released through art.
And remember the scene when his wife was like, you can't put everything, the canvas can't heal everything, but for him, it did.
Yes.
It did.
Yes.
And that was so powerful. When he walked that particular scene that you're talking about, this movie, I was literally, you know how you're sitting on it, I was literally sitting on the edge of my seat, like, okay, but because I mean, like everything just being thrown. And then I said, and then it hit him like, oh, and he put a permanent marker, and began to sketch on this sheet. That was his canvas. And I don't want to get too ahead of but when the evolution of that one little canvas.
Yes.
You know, in the show, and the scene where, and if I'm getting ahead, stop me, sis. But it goes deeper to the understanding of people and allowing people to be. And I'm thinking specifically of the scene where the patron comes up to him and he says, like, well, my daughter is this and she loves your work and I have all of your work through the house and that picture I just bought. And then he touched him and he said, don't touch me. And he was like, but and so for that stood out. That would go to, I think, the question we're on. That was a point, a message in that movie that stood out. It rang loud and clear that people is for agreements. They make assumptions. Because I bought your artwork, now you have to dance for me, right? Take this picture, I get to touch you, I can do. No. Yes, this man's art may be millions, selling millions. You may have this man's art all over your home. But to have the understanding in watching this movie that art was his healing. So to somebody, it's a piece of art that you get to put over your bed. Because we said, I had that hanging over my bed. And he was like, well, I'm happy you want to have my dead mother's picture over your bed. You know, you don't think about the trauma, but that speaks to the selfishness of people, right? We project our stuff into your life when, yes, it's a beautiful thing to you artistically, but it's pain for me. This is how I express my feelings. Even the picture of his dad, when he had his face covered. This one, I think I have it.
Yeah, you have it.
This picture here. That picture, and then I'm not going to say any more about it because I don't want to give the movie away. But just the messaging of it, but the trauma that it was actually connected to him as the artist. Those are things you don't think about. And so this movie, wow.
That part.
It literally was like a mirror. And not saying that like I have all of his traumas, but it's a mirror as a reminder, I guess, like on my book, right? To look at yourself. Take a look in the mirror. And don't assume that everybody is where you are. And how we show up is not actually how we are or how we may be in that moment. So it was, oh my goodness, this movie, it needs to win every type of accolade, award, and all of the things. And this was his first film?
First film. Shout out again to Titus.
When I tell you, I had chills. It needs to hit every film festival. I'm sending light so that it guides. This film is seen by everybody that needs to see it so that it gets the proper recognition that it is due. And that the people that actually are able to see the movie, that it can be healing for them, because it is a healing movie. It helps you to think. I cried probably throughout the movie. Not like you're like, boo-hoo, but it was moments of like some of resignation, and some of like, wow, like I cried, my heart cried for him, for the character, for the experiences. And even we haven't talked yet about the relationship he had with his brother. To see them skip rocks in that pool, it really lit me up. Just the love between them, even though they share different fathers, the love that they have for their mother. His brother was like, it ain't about him, it's about mom.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it makes me think of forgiveness, exhibiting forgiveness. The forgiveness is not for you, it's not for them. It's for, even though it's for self, but he was saying, even forgive them for your mom, for our mom. Before they even knew, what was going on. That's all I'll say. I won't give too much. Just the depth, the richness, like you said, this movie is so rich. And I'm sure that every time I see it, because I will see it, and I don't know if it'll be on DVD, but it's one that I will want in my movie collection, because it's so rich. Just personally, when you talk about us being in a wellness space and well-being space, just the type of vignettes that you can pull from it for a deeper healing, for journaling, and just for reflection, it's a game changer. Titus is a game changer. If you see Easy Talks, Titus, you did your thing.
Hello. Round of applause for you, sir. Like several.
Yes.
And this piece just came to me, and then we'll move on to the next question. But the piece that I is worthy of being shared. This piece came in the movie in two different parts. And the one time the father told the son, I never stop praying for you. And towards the end, the son said, don't stop praying for me. And look, like I am not at all a religious person. I know y'all done see me on Easy Talks quoting scriptures, but I'm not a religious person. I am a Doug's person. And for y'all who don't know, Doug's is divine universe, God source. And what I want to say is the power of prayer, intentional prayer, selfless prayer. And here's the other thing, and no disrespect, all due respect. But the thing is sometimes people pray for a scenario that they want to see unfold. But the true power of prayer is to allow the unfolding in the way in which the Most High has ordained. That is true prayer. So not my desire, not my wish as Erika Lynn Brown, but no. To disconnect from me and to fully focusing on you, on the being, and knowing that the will of the Most High carries and surpasses whatever I, in my beingness, not even my beingness, but my humanness. But to let that go, because when I can release what I think and what I want for you, or what I think would be best for you, and to just surrender it into God's hands, like the Most High, like that, y'all, like, and to be able to feel how I feel about you, but because I know of the power of prayer, to ask that of you, keep praying for me. Oh, it was just it was rich. It was good.
And as you talk about that scene in particular, it takes me to, well, actually two things. Everything that you said, yes. However, I feel that it takes life experiences and lessons. Well, for me, I'll speak for myself. It took me life lessons. It took me having God like etching away all the way till before I was able to understand that. And when I think about some of the preaching that Pastor Moore has been doing lately, or probably always, but it's resonating deeper because I'm different and I'm close. My connection and my relationship with God is it. I have my own, not through my mom, not through my grandma. It's my own from my life's experiences. A lot of people pray that way, the way you mentioned, because it's selfish, and they haven't put their minds, or out again, I'm speaking for myself. I hadn't endured enough. I hadn't been put in positions enough to trust that is all of that will be. Mm-hmm. On the back of my mind, I knew that it was my grandmother's prayers, and it's my mother's prayers, and the prayers of my ancestors and everybody, and even people that have been and pray for me from the space of a mature Christian, so to speak, that has an understanding of it's in God's time and it's not in yours. So I think that's the maturity that comes as you traverse, right? But that scene when he said, and continue to pray for me, and why that was so powerful for me, especially as some things that I've been traversing, is you can be in relationship with a person through prayer without being in relationship with a person.
Talk about it, sis.
I feel and I know I'm experiencing that. And it's funny, I just posted something. It was a post from someone else, but I added it to my story, and it talks about, for your well-being, essentially block, unfollow, whatever. And I put like, this is a part of my wellness and well-being practices. And I do that in light and love. And I know most people say in love and light, but I do it in light and love, because my prayer is that you can see that the path is lit by the light that I am sending, which is divinely led, that you can know that it is love, even if we don't share space. So that's the beauty of that prayer. And that's the profound thing, because at that point he was saying, we may not be, but no, I know that you pray for me, so please continue to pray. And because he trusted the prayer of his dad being the link. Because some people, you don't want praying for you. No, for you don't. No, thank you. Because I don't know how your heart is. I don't know what your intentions, especially if it's a, So it was very profound, and it was it hit home, especially on today. As I sit in a healing space of praying for people that I may no longer, that I will not know, share space for in this season, and understanding seasonal relationships and lifetime relationships, but understanding that in spite of that, I still can pray for you. And it's so deep for me now, sis, that I even started, I started writing out those prayers and writing out the names of those people that I'm in that space with, because I love myself enough. And I know that I can't have a hard heart about any situation, because again, if I do, then I have to look back at me and understand why. But it's also very healthy to say, I no longer want to share space. You don't have to say it, to just simply just be done and send prayers, light and love. So, and so I do that now with, I love writing. So I do that now by writing the names. And I went through one space of my healing of writing the names of why, the names and why I'm choosing not to be, and not for public knowledge, not for anyone to know but me and God. So that he knows when I am praying for them, that it's through a clean heart. It's through a heart that is pure with pure intentions. But that scene was powerful, because he made it clear. We done.
Right. But please keep praying for me.
Keep praying.
Keep praying.
I think I cried on when that scene happened. I think that was the last, like, oh, it took me out, because it was so powerful. Because it's true, you can have relationships with people at a distance, and I think that's another part of the beauty of this piece, this movie, is that just the impeccability of their communication. The intention of their communication. They didn't mince words. They were very clear. And I won't go into the part with his mother, because then I'll take us to a whole nother. So go see the movie, everybody.
And that, I think that's the piece too, is it felt like somebody opened up their life and put a camera there and just recorded it. Like, it didn't feel like actors. It didn't feel like someone reading a script that somebody wrote, and like directors, again, shout out to Titus, but like this, it didn't feel like, it felt real. It felt human. I think that's the piece. It felt human. I could feel the emotion. I could feel the unfolding of the story. Like it felt so real. And I think that that's a beauty. So shout out to the whole crew, because what y'all created something special. Y'all created a keepsake. And that was the thing too, because I know that you mentioned sharing it with Mario, and I shared it with Gerard, but I feel like almost too, like, this movie, like, I want to watch this movie at home.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, I can't wait for this movie to come out. Like, and it's worth paying. Like, I don't even need to wait for it to come out on a streaming platform. I will pay to watch this movie at home, to be able to have this experience and share this experience with my husband in our own safe space, where we get to just be with the movie, like, share space with the movie. Like, it's so intimate, it's so vulnerable, it's so, like, it's exposing, but in the most beautiful, healing, sacred way. Like, oh, and just being mindful that, of our time, I want to ask too, how did the film's portrayal of forgiveness compare to your own experience with forgiveness in real life?
You want to go first?
Do you want to go first?
I can say that I continue to work on forgiveness.
Mm-hmm.
And not in totality, but in those spaces where it's deeply rooted, where that little Z can be triggered and agitated. And I am immensely grateful for the healing and the evolution that I have in the space of forgiveness, because I'm nowhere near where I was, because I was like, forgiveness. But I understand and I've experienced what forgiveness can do. So for me, as a barometer, I've had growth, right? When I think about my marriage, immensely grateful for the healing and the level of forgiveness that I'm able to have. And mainly with myself, for having expectations and standards for my husband that weren't agreed upon, that were rooted in my stuff and me being selfish. So a lot of self-forgiveness. And again, as a barometer to show that, you know what, I am better. And I'm grateful to God for having a greater connection to him, so that I'm able to heal and to truly forgive. And so to answer your question, what was that, the latter part of it? Like, how would I rate my healing?
Nope, it was, how did the film's portrayal of forgiveness compare to your own experiences with forgiveness in real life?
So to answer that in summary, it provided artistry to show that I have grown and evolved in my space of healing. Not healing, well, healing too, but forgiving. And again, that forgiving started with forgiving myself for allowing things to get me to a space where I wasn't able to forgive, if that makes sense. But I also know that as I evolve and as I expand, again, little Z can be agitated by the little smallest things. But I also know that to be a test for God to say, okay, you said, so how we moving? How you moving? How's your heart? So I'm going to say, hopefully I answered that. But I feel like I'm in a good space with forgiveness, especially understanding that forgiveness, ooh, and this hit me too. Forgiveness doesn't necessarily mean I have to endure the people that or situations that put me in a space where I needed to forgive. Because again, may not mess with you, may not hang out, we may not even talk. But if you pray for me with a good heart, continue to pray for me, and I'm going to continue to pray for those as well.
Wow, that answer was deep, sis. Clearly, I had to scratch my head on it. That's what I do. When stuff moves to me, I be all in my head, like externally though. So I think for me, the films, what the film gave me when it comes to forgiveness, where my mind goes is to the mom and dad and the conversation that the mom and dad had, and when they were talking about the son, and how he was like, you forgave me over and over and over, you kept giving me chance after chance after chance. So I think about that level of forgiveness, where it reminds me of scripture love. Like, love is patient, love is kind, love keeps no score of wrongdoings. Like it makes me think about that Corinthians love. And then I think, or the Corinthians love, and how that relates to forgiveness because of the way in which she's able to show up with him and her relationship with the Most High, and how she was able to embody the essence of some of the teachings from my understanding. And she was able to show up with him with a purity of love, a love that saw him beyond his actions and into the being of him. And she was willing to continue to hold that space for him as he navigated living life with childhood trauma and now being an adult, and how that shows up. Like, CPTSD is real. And again, like, you might not have no ill intention, but the ripple effect and the impact of your actions still surfaces.
Right.
And so on the other side, you have the son and the father, and how his level of forgiveness was like, I forgive you, but you're where you're at and my future is mine. And so when I think about my life, it makes me, think about my dad and think about our healing and our forgiveness. And, like, I'm able to forgive my dad. I love my dad. I have a relationship today with my dad that I once upon a time thought was not possible. But the reason why I have the relationship that I have with my dad is, one, forgiveness, but two, he's a man. He's a human. I know that even in the traumatic pieces of our relationship, he always was doing the best that he could, because he has a story. So it's like, I see this man, and I create the way that I show up because, oh, he's supposed to be my dad. But no, before he was my dad, he was a man. He was a little boy. He was a real life person with real life human experiences. So I choose to see that. So it takes me back to, the dad, when he was talking to his son, and he was talking about his dad and how he said, my dad was a good man. And I feel that way about my dad. My dad is not a perfect man. My dad is not a flawless man, but he is a good man. And I know, like I said, that he always has and always will do the best that he can with the capacity that he has. And so me being able to forgive him, me being able to see him, has built the relationship that we now have. My dad, and that's one of the things I talked about and talk about it Thursday, was Anna Runkle and the crappy childhood theory. And one of the things that she said is that when someone says, oh, I'm sorry for what I did, it doesn't really do anything. And I get to allow her to have that experience. But I'm gonna let you know right now, hearing my dad say, I'm sorry, what? Hashtag priceless. It meant everything to me because it didn't take away the pain. It didn't take away what happened, but he acknowledged his part in my trauma, in my pain, in what I am still at 36 and a half years old. I am still navigating. I am still healing from what happened. But it's not him, it's now my stuff. But he is not responsible. That part has been taken. He like, and again, like when you think about forgiveness, when you think about Christ's forgiveness, like, isn't that what they talked about? I went through what I went through, and you have been forgiven. So if and I think they talked about that message too. If God can forgive you, who in the actual F am I to not forgive you? Because I know that you are a human being going, like, you're a human. So yes, you're a spiritual being having a human experience, but that humanness is real. You get forgiveness, and it doesn't make what you did right, but it does give you grace. Because again, it is not even I who is to judge. I don't know why you did what you did. I just know the impact. And I get to work through the impact. And whether that means I create space and I want nothing to do with you, or whether it means I'm willing to heal with you, I'm willing to forgive with you. And I can also say that it is easy for me to build this relationship with my dad because my dad and I are in two different spaces today than we were when stuff was happening. And today I get to not take what my dad does or not do personal because I get to see him. And I get to say his experience is his and he gets to have that. And my experience is mine and I get to have that. But we get to experience life together too. And today I want that. Today I desire that. And I desire to share space with an imperfect father. Because today I love my daddy. And I got a whole section in my book called Daddy Issues. But it is because of what we've been through that makes the love that we have today worthwhile and priceless. I wouldn't trade my relationship I have with him for nothing in the world. My daddy is my everything. And so I get to have that experience because of forgiveness. I ho'oponopono my dad, which is I love you, I forgive you, I'm sorry, thank you. And for me, it takes what he did away from him and it makes it for me. So I forgive me for thinking you should have been anything other than what you were. That's how I take it because you did the best you could, and it's my experience and it's my opportunity to forgive, so that way that no longer holds weight. I was a bag lady for years and I still got a bag, to be honest, but the weight in that bag today versus the weight in that bag years ago is totally different. And it's because of the forgiveness, it's because of the ho'oponopono and the journaling that I do with that forgiveness practice that has really allowed me to be in this space where, like, you get to have whatever you did. I'm not holding no grudges. I'm not holding no resentments because it puts weight on me. My face breaks out. My body physically reacts. And I choose me today. And in choosing me, I choose forgiveness and I choose love. Love, love, love. What you do to me ain't got nothing to do with me, and it has everything to do with you. So you get that forgiveness and you get that love because you reap what you sow. So whatever you done did to me, baby, it's coming back. So I'm gonna cover you because I don't even want no ill will to be done. And I'm gonna hold that space. So as I see the clock, what last remarks would you like to share with everybody about exhibiting forgiveness, SF?
Go see it. Once you go see it, share it. Go see it, go see it, go see it. And shout out to the young man who created this piece of work. It's amazing, to you and your team. Congratulations, and I wish you all of the best.
What I would like to say is thank you. Thank you for creating this film. Thank you for your willingness to do every single thing that it took to bring this baby to life. Because what you all have created is a gift, and it's the gift that keeps on giving. Again, it's therapeutic. It's trajectory changing. And just thank you for your service, and thank you for whatever you went through to bring this to life, and thank you for your willingness to share it, and thank you for your willingness to share your art, the art, from the paintings to the music to the gathering of the people to bring this to life. That's all art. So thank you for your gift. Thank you for your services, and thank you for this offering of this film exhibiting forgiveness. Shout out to y'all. And like my SS said, I hope y'all get all out Grammys, Oscars, Golden Globe, I think it's daytime, whatever, all of it, just sprinkling the goodness, because this work right here, y'all deserve everything that's going to come. And I believe, echoing my SS and y'all, when we stand and we touch an agreement, y'all, this film right here, I hope that y'all get everything that is coming to y'all from the making of this film, because this right here, this work, just get ready. Get ready. Have your buckets open, because you're going to receive an overflow for this right here. So thank y'all for joining us for the October 2024 edition of Easy Talks. And please just go see it. Go see it. And that's it. That's all, I think. You got anything else, SS? All right. Until next month, y'all. Enjoy the gift of today. And SS, please come up off of you and tell them what to do.
Have the audacity to be the first to put you first in all ways, in all ways.
And we out.